Hey, before I even start, Brett's hanging stuff, and you guys are doing what you're doing, getting ready for this spoiler episode, and I'm excited for it too. But I'll tell you, we've been working really hard on the studio, me especially. But I'll tell you that it gets to a place where we got to get some energy going. So what do? We have Magic Mind, and I love Magic Mind. I've been using Magic Mind forever, and Magic Mind gets you. It's got clean energy. So Brett, you love Magic Mind.
Oh yeah.
You can talk about it in the microphone.
9 days.
What's that?
Got me through the last 9 days.
It does, and that's what we'll do. Before we leave in the morning, I throw Brett a Magic Mind, and he's ready to go. And that's why he's able to do. That's why the studio looks as good as it does, because it's Magic Mind. So if you want to go and you want to get yourself some Magic Mind, you should. And then you can use that code. You go to magicmind.com/bigthing and use that code BIGTHING, and you're going to get a percentage off. Get 20% off. And it's really, really great. I love Magic Mind. I've been using it and it's like, again, like I said, it's got no jitters, and it really is clean energy, and it tastes good. I love the taste of it. It's got that, I always say it's got like an orange juice taste, but it's great. So I highly recommend going on over to magicmind.com/bigthing and checking it out. All right, let's get to the spoiler review. Here we go. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to The Big Thing. It's the Sith Council spoiler episode of The Acolyte, Season 1, hopefully. Episode 8, the finale of the series, hopefully. So we'll see. We're going to talk about that because they certainly left it open for discussion for a second season. But we'll talk about everything that happened inside of the episode, all the way through it. We'll give our thoughts, and we'll talk about what we saw. So if you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, subscribe to the channel. Not only that's what we do. We just sing random doo-doo songs when you mess up the words. That's what they teach you in class. What class? I have no idea. So we are going to be talking about that, and what we talk about here, we do reactions, we do reviews, we do out of the theater reactions, immediate reactions, interviews. Hell, man, if you like The Sopranos, I just did a full-on, hour-long, sit-down, in-studio episode with Robert Eiler, AJ Soprano himself, and we sat down, we talked. It was a great conversation, really good dude, and we're doing a lot more interviews. We got a lot of great guests coming up, so please check it out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. So let's get into it, man. Let's talk about The Acolyte, Season 1, Episode 8. Here we go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. 'Tis The Big Thing, and it is Wednesday, the last time we will be talking about The Acolyte, maybe ever. I don't know, at least season-wise. Who knows? But I'm Kristian Harloff. Joining me, as always, talking Star Wars, Steph Sabra is here. Hello, Steph.
Hi.
How are you?
Very good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Studio's looking very nice.
I appreciate that. I did it all myself. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you
heard
too.
there's not someone else in there with you.
No one else is here.
Yeah.
And, of course, Mike Kalinowski. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. What's up?
Good. So you know what's weird, Mike?
What's that?
When we check the mics and the cameras beforehand, your camera always doesn't look great. But for some reason, once we go on air, it doesn't look too bad. It looks all right.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to say.
It looks good.
He's a showman.
Yeah. Well, guys, we did it. We made it.
We did.
We're here.
Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, we did it. And I will. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to start with the positives, because people always say, and Mike even said it last week, we don't want to be you look and all we're doing is complaining about the show. It's hard not to. I mean, it was hard not to. For us, a lot of people out there dig it, and we're just not three of those people. But what we will do is we're going to start out and we're going to say that the fight scenes are fantastic. And I think all three of us will agree that the fight scenes throughout this series have been... See you later, Mike. Maybe he doesn't want to agree. But we all agree that the fight scenes are fantastic. And they continue to do that in this episode. So we have that. We have there's the Sith stuff that they did. And what I will say, the positive side of it is, when this episode started, the first thing I said was, well, this should have been episode 7, and they should have continued on doing what they were doing. And even if they wanted to put some of that backstory in there that they showed, you could have done that effectively by kind of going back and forth and combining what they did with episode 7 with this one. You could have made it an hour and a half episode and kind of gone back and forth with the reveal of Saul and all that, because there are a few reveals that worked. But Steph, start with the positives here. What did you think of the fight scenes? And well, hell, I didn't even ask you your opinion of the overall episode. What did you think of the episode?
I thought the episode was a good finale for the show that was given.
That's fair.
I really, like, there wasn't so many, like, they answered the questions that I was like, most of the questions I was like, you gotta answer this. And the arcs, you know, I do like that it was the opposite of a redemption arc. So I thought there was a lot of good things in it. It like reminded me the same thing I'm reminded every episode, that there's a lot of cool aspects going on. Just the landing doesn't necessarily work for me. And it feels like they thought about all these cool moments and they were like, how do we get to there? And then forced some plot to get to there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that was a nice spin on it to be.
Yeah.
You did you did what
it worked.
You did what you
did what they did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
It just every episode now after episode like 5, it's just, I think they should just focus on Chimere.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that Mike, Mike, this is what I said throughout the entire episode watching it, and I think we talked about it when Steph wasn't on the show. We talked about it last week when Steph was on the show. I think that their biggest misstep, and some will disagree because those people who liked it, their biggest misstep was focusing on the twins. And I stick with that because, especially with this episode, they really rely on you being so invested in the twins' storyline that there were some emotional moments that are supposed to hit that a few times, like, I wrap this up, go back to Saul and Chimere. Let's go back, like, enough. It was almost felt like the same way that when Reva was back and forth with Beru and Owen, and I'm like, nah, go to Vader and Obi-Wan. I'm more invested in that. I don't care about the other story, and that's bad because this is the main story. So a lot of times I'm like, wrap it up. It didn't hit for me, but I don't know. What did you think overall of the episode?
The lightsaber stuff is some of the best choreography we've seen since the prequels.
Yeah.
Hands down. That fighting and the kind of crouching tiger, hidden dragon stuff they did, awesome. That space scene with the chase, I have an issue inside of the chase scene, but that chase scene was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that's old school Star Wars. That was awesome. As a whole, like, those twins, I don't care about them. Like, that whole was like, you become murderers.
They were a-holes. They were complete a-holes.
You don't want to be a murderer, but now you're a murderer and you're okay because you got like this Twilight crush on Chimere, and we're supposed to feel sorry for you, and you're crying for your sister at the end. Like, no, you're a murderer.
That is what I'm saying.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. Like, this show, to me, Steph kind of said it best. Like, the writers had an idea, but then I think at one point, probably maybe Headland was like, okay, so how do you fix that to do the story? It's like, I don't know. We'll think of something. Like Shit Weasel. What is his point of this entire show?
Yeah.
But
Save that, because I know where you're going with it. Save it for a second. Save it for a second. Yeah, like, I know. I'm with you.
The amount of things that happen in every episode where I see where they're going story-wise, but it doesn't make sense because certain things happen, and then they're like, just do it. No one's going to notice. And then apparently, like, hey, I don't know. I mean, I know who Plagueis is, but the fact that everyone's watching this guy show up and waiting for him, and then we get Gollum creeping in the corner.
Yeah, that was, and we're definitely going to get more into that. But
then let's not forget about good old Ki-Adi-Mundi that they put in there for no reason in episode 3. And the whole point of the show was the whole thing about, or like, the Sith have been extinct for nearly a millennium. And everyone lost their crap because, well, how's this going to happen? And then he shows up. You didn't need to show him, and his part in the prequels still would have been fine. But the fact that you used him, he knows they're Sith. The decision after decision in every episode of this show, you're like, what are you guys doing, man?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. So I think what we're going to do here is, I think, again, I've got the pictures. We'll go through it. We'll kind of break down what we've been doing in general, and we start the episode in general with, like I said, it looked like my 6-year-old wearing my Yankee hat.
Oh, I thought about that because you said it last time, and I didn't pick it up last episode, but then seeing it this time, I'm like, oof.
Yeah, but they don't spend, this time is a little better. They don't spend enough time because at least it made it a little bit more creepy. He's like, "What are you doing in there?" At first he smiles and he's like, "Okay, that's cool. You're trying on my hat and you're You diving into the dark side, but then something's going on in there, and then the witch eye roll thing happens, and he kind of, and they have this moment. It's like they're doing like the Kylo Ray stuff between the two of them, and it's like it's okay, fine. I think it's working a little bit more with them, and this is the only time that I thought that this storyline, if you were gonna do something with one of the twins or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And if you're gonna have Amandla in this show, then maybe focusing on this story in particular, because to me, I think Amandla is a good actor. I do. I thought the performance got less and less interesting, and I don't know if it was just because of the storyline in general, but it was a lot of the same kind of face stuff. The fighting did not work at all when they were fighting each other. It didn't work at all for me. And the anger and the idea of, first of all, I mean, I guess we'll get to it when we get to it, but the other thing, and I'll ask you, Steph, because I want to see if you can rationalize this. I don't feel like you can, but maybe you can. The whole time, Chimeira's telling her, let me train you. I can train you, and I can turn you into, a badass to learn how to do it. She's like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing what my sister did. I'm not going to train with you and learn how to do this. So because you know why? She doesn't need to learn, because she can choke out a Jedi with no problem using the dark side. How? If she hasn't been trained, how does she use the dark side to choke and kill a Jedi? How does she do that? Can you explain that?
No. I just think it was them being like that's how powerful the twins are when they want to.
But they weren't trained. And what's the point of training them?
But then he said, but remember Chimeira did say you don't need to be trained really to use it.
But to use it. But to kill a Jedi and choke out a Jedi, to a Jedi who's been trained for years upon years upon years.
I'm with you. If I'm reaching, I'm thinking Soul kind of wanted it to end.
He did say at one point it's okay, but it's like, fight a little bit, guy.
Because Soul was like, he defeated Chimeira, who defeated literally 10 Jedi, no problem.
Right. And yet she can just come out because she's angry that he lied about her mom, and she can just kill him by doing that. He's like, that's just tons of the stuff that didn't make sense. But Mike, you said you can explain it?
Yeah, because the writers wanted to be like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we showed where the Force choke came from and the first person to use it? Yeah, that'd be awesome. Let's have her do it.
I don't think she's the first person to do it. But
that's what they made it seem like, because he's looking at her going, what are you doing? You're choking someone without the Force. That's what they made it sound like. They're all like, that was like, oh my God, this is the first time this has ever happened. Oh. He's not looking at her going, wow, yeah, you're good. He's like, what are you doing? How did you do that? Like, they wanted to show the first Force choke in Star Wars on screen, and it made no sense in the context of the story. That better not be the case, because there's so many different things they did. Like, stop, and even the whole idea, and I guess we'll jump to the Plagueis thing in general, but the idea that that Plagueis learned how to manipulate life because he found the virgins between these witches who came up with it. Is that what they're saying?
That's essentially what it is, if you think about it. He finds out Plagueis has been tracking Chimeira, or whoever, whatever reason it is, and been watching this virgins with the two twins, and realizes, he also figured out, the witches did it. Now I'm going to figure out, I'm going to steal their research, and then I'm going to create Anakin. Or teach my apprentice how to create Anakin. It's like, come on, what are you doing? The witches were the ones that came up with that idea. Come on, it's like you completely. This is my whole point. This is why Lucasfilm. It's like, you have this James Luceno novel. It's right there. You can have access to it. You don't have to pay for it because you own it. And even if you didn't, you could pay for it and read it. It's worth it. And you look at it and you go, we can get some people to turn this book into a 6 episode miniseries and do everything that we tried to do in this and stick with it. But instead, they just completely do this cockamamie story of whatever they're doing. It's so dopey. But these two are, playing footsies and handsies throughout the whole episode. But this time he reaches in, he says, take my helmet off. You don't know how to do it yet. And then Amandla doing the face that she does throughout the entire series of the shocked kind of look at everything. Doesn't mean, even if you ask her to order you a bagel, she's making this face. And then we switch to May. And this is where because the first scene, guys, I'll tell you, when it started, when that first scene started, I'm like, okay, this is where we're starting. We're going to go back into what they're doing. I'm in. And then the second we jump to May and Saul, I'm like, okay, here we go again. May is now out again, right? Chained up, and she's going to dupe Saul once again. And Saul gets duped once again. And it's like, you might as well play the Benny Hill music again.
Pissed in her face again.
Yeah. And it's like, and Benny Hill is the Benny Hill music where he just went through this entire story that he told us that we had to sit through episode 7 again because he needed to tell her this story. And then it meant nothing. She didn't hear anything. And she runs off, and then she says, "See you in hell, Jedi." Like it's supposed to be some badass moment. And it was a goofy moment in general. And then that's where the shit rat's like, "Oh, who farted?" Every time the shit rat pops up, it looks like he's sniffing farts. And so this scene in general, Steph, walk me through this scene.
Well, yeah, I don't know what you want me to say.
So she's laying on the table. When she's laying on the table,
she's laying on the table. She gets up, but it's not very clear what she heard of the story and what she didn't hear of the story. But I also think it doesn't matter because she was fully aware of what happened that night. It's not like she was a baby. She was a pretty grown child, and she knows that he killed her mom. I don't think that she's listening to this murderer's reasoning for why it all happened. Like there's no excuse for that. So I think the whole time she was just like, I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah, but it's even when he says to her, he goes, it because yes, you're 100% right. There's no excuse for it. There was nothing. He's like, I did it to protect you. She wasn't doing anything. She just was turning into a smoke monster. That's part 1. Part two, Mike, before you go, is that he says you burned everybody. And she's like, that's because you guys came in. But why did you burn everybody else?
But she didn't burn everyone. And Dara killed everyone.
What?
But when did we see that?
And Dara snapped their necks when they were doing their.
No, but she burnt everybody up.
And then she goes, I locked them up to protect them. What? What are you talking about?
It's too confusing. It
doesn't make any sense.
It was too confusing.
It made no sense. It's like, yeah, well, wait a minute. The Jedi came in. He's like, you burned everybody up. That's because you guys came in. So wait, can we go back to that? So we came in to take your sister away, and because of that, you burned everybody up, and that's okay? Why? You killed my mother. Yeah, I did. Okay, we agree that's bad? Yeah, I agree that's bad. But I didn't know you were alive. And then, there's the shit rat. See you in hell, Jedi. Whee! And it's like,
right.
What? Terrible scene.
I know, it's like the whole time I feel like they were trying to make it a murder mystery the whole time, but I don't understand. I've never understood that with the show.
No, and then we keep and Mike brings up the point all the time here, and that's May goes through different things. I want to be good. I'm going to turn myself in. No, I'm not. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to listen to you. The idea of we knew, and this show is about as predictable as it gets. Everybody knew that Vanestra was Chimere's master. Everybody knew that. And then everybody knew that Osha was going to turn bad from the way that they set that up. But instead of turning May in the predictability, which they should have stuck with, I think, of good, and let her, she realizes the way, because we set her up as the bad one, she's still a schmuck and a half, because she's the same person.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. What I'm like, there's just these little things where I'm constantly instead of me being like, oh, that's why, I'm like, huh?
Right.
And one of the things is when Chimere is she didn't need to use a weapon, and so she used Osha. But then why does Osha not, his new disciple, get to use weapons? And what was the entire point of her not using weapons to kill Jedi?
It didn't make any sense. And plus the fact she was using weapons. She was using knives. She was using. She did use weapons.
Right. And what was the point of him doing that? And how did he find her?
None of that made sense. And it was also the same thing of where you finally do get Plagueis sneaking around the corner there, and it's why not just make that the second episode? Make that the big reveal. They show Plagueis, or he's sneaking around the corner there. They're making the Species of the Immune, which I was happy about. But at this point, he's looking around the corner, and you don't show him for the rest of the episode. So because what they did in this was a bad thing to do on any show, unless you're greenlit or ready for a second season off the gate. never make a show that has so many open questions without a guarantee of season 2. Don't ever do that, because you leave it going, well, where's that guy going to be? And now you set up, you've introduced Plagueis, and what if the season 2 never happens?
Right.
It was all of it was like too much. And this show, for the amount of money that it cost, I mean, Mike's not wrong. That scene when they're flying through space was awesome. It looked great. But
The whole show has looked really good to me.
yeah.
I know some people didn't think that, but really every episode has looked really good to me. The finale totally looked amazing. Brendok is such a cool location to shoot at.
Yeah.
The fight scenes are so great. It just is the story doesn't work.
It's a story. It was a story because they fly off into space, and this is the thing that Mike and I are completely on the same page with here. They're flying through the space and it looks amazing. And I had said as much in my reaction to it. And then all this stuff that's going down in this particular scene makes no sense to me. So first of all, why is she wearing a helmet? She doesn't need to put a helmet on.
When she dropped in and put that helmet, again, I feel so stupid for calling shit out like this. But because I'm not invested in everything is what? She jumps in, she's like, oh, gotta get the helmet on.
Why does she put the helmet on? Why? She's not a pilot, and Saul doesn't put a helmet on?
And it just looks stupid on her. It was just so many decisions after decisions on this series are making me go, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, she puts the helmet on.
You're not trying to call anyone. You don't need the comms thing in the helmet. You're not.
No, but then
put it on for? Get out of there. Fly.
And then here's the other side of it. So this whole episode is Saul saying, I couldn't kill either. I couldn't get rid of either one of you. I had to. Why did I have to find May? I had to find May to prove the virgins in the Force. I had to prove it, be able to prove that, and be able to prove everything that I discovered. You got to both be alive. I got to make sure I show you guys, which made sense. Then what does he try to do? Tries to blow her up at one point.
Well, hold on. Okay, now this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I asked people about this. First of all, I was like, what is the shit weasel doing?
Yeah, the shit rat. Please, get it right.
He's sabotaging the ship.
Why? He was biting her feet.
People said what you said, oh, Saul tried to destroy her. I go, well, first of all, I didn't take it as that. I thought Saul was trying to pull her in with the tractor beam.
It looked like.
Well, why is Saul trying to kill her then?
That's exactly. So look, there's something wrong either way. Either way, he's tracking her. It looks to me like he's tracking her to blow her up, right? Which would make no sense considering the entire thing. He's saying his
entire character arc of 8 episodes is his guilt over failing to kill.
So why are you going to blow her up?
To save them, and now he's going to blow them up.
But let's go. So let's go to you. We'll say
let's say it's a tracking.
So let's say it's a tracking record. Then what is the shit rat doing?
What's shit rat doing?
What's he doing? The shit rat is now pulling the plug, and this is a little disgusting animal that was biting on feet and stomping and just sniffing ass the whole time. And now he's pulling cord, and not even for some reason there's a change of heart. And then Saul doesn't even complain about it. Goes, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have tried to blow her up. I lost my cool. Now where was this? I wish that he would have lost his cool and killed Chimere. A couple episodes when, remember that whole fight was like, no, don't kill him. Even though he killed everybody else, don't kill him. It's like the decisions of these characters are just, the writing is lackluster, to be nice.
Right. That's why I don't think it's I happen to like all of the performances, and I feel like it really does lie in the writing.
You have to, you as an actor, what you're given is what you're given. You got to make the best of it. And I think all of them are. We'll get to one character later that I thought was like, oh, this is the kind of acting I want to see in this show. But yeah.
I saw one tweet that really pissed me off because I feel I probably shouldn't take it personal because it's just not how I feel. But it was this idea that people who don't like the show don't understand the nuance of the story they were trying to tell, and that we don't cannot see the fact that there's gray area within the Jedi. And it's like, no one said that. I want the Jedi to be exposed as the idiots that they were.
Oh, we see it. We see that they're not the good shining knights in armor that we think they are.
That's not the problem. That's not what we're saying. I was just like,
no.
Those people that do stuff like that can't admit that. Hey, I love Star Wars. This isn't a good show, but I still love it. You can do that.
Or the flip side of that too, Mike, is that look, the person who's doing this tweet, I feel like there is a lot of stuff that that exposes the nuance. It does this, it does that. And if you don't see it that way, we just see a different point of view here, right? As opposed to, well, it's because you don't understand this is what you want. I had a loyal viewer who was saying, like, hey, don't you think the reason why people don't like this because they just want simple Star Wars stories? Like, no, we want good writing. Like, good writing. Like, if you dive into this story and you dive into certain character moments, it's not good writing. You can like it and you can disagree with me, but it's not good writing. There's character choices that and Venestra, like that, I got to disagree with you a little bit too, Steph. Because yes, I don't think the writing is good, but the actress playing Venestra is so bland, just so bland.
And I draw to this point. We'll probably get there, but the scene with her and the senator Ravencroft,
I like him.
He ran
Great. He was
fucking circles around.
Where
like,
was he? Where was he?
He should have. He's bringing Andor level acting to this show.
That guy should have been in every episode. He should have been a major player, and they saved him for the end.
He was right. Cool. He was saying the same dialogue that the other actors were being given, but because he just imbued it with a character, he wasn't playing the stereotypical evil senator. He was like,
you know what he did?
Him.
Here's what he did. In where we just talked about how the idea of Plagueis coming up with the now he sees his twin thing, that we don't really like this element of the witches came up with it because it didn't make a lot of sense. Like, it doesn't really work. There's certain things that people will say, I don't believe it. But when this guy says, one of these days, the Jedi is going to destroy all you, or someone's going to go rogue or something, and you're like, oh. Well, that's this guy's calling the truth here because we know that happens, and it's but he did it with such conviction and he does it in a way. I'm like, where is that guy? That guy should have been the feature in the same way that the one senator in what the hell was it? I think it was Ahsoka that kept busting Hera's chops. Like he should have had a more prominent role like that, to where you give that senator. Show me what's going on in the Senate Coruscant.
Right, like show why the Jedi are stressed to cover the story.
Yeah,
and why they'll continue to cover the story. I felt like for a show that did an entire backstory episode, I would have really appreciated backstory from Jackie's character, from Yord's character, from the Senator's character, from like the Jedi Council's
all
characters.
of it.
Steph, Jackie and Yord, you're like, what was the point of them having them on this show?
Right.
Just to show without Yeah.
There was nothing to them. It's just the fact that we liked them for when they were there. But
they were cool. Yeah.
They wanted to show us that, hey, these are characters you like. We're going to kill them. So this is how bad.
You didn't give us enough time. They didn't give us enough time. The only reason we liked them is because their performances were good. And I didn't even like Yord that much. But Yord, at the end of it, I was like, I felt bad for him because of what he was doing.
Gave a good. I didn't.
He did.
He was good at what he got.
Yeah. After watching back for what he did, it's like he annoyed me for some of the choices he was making. But overall, he's better than I gave him credit for in the beginning. And then when he and Jackie at least had meaningful, or not, I shouldn't say meaningful, but I should say, you go, oh, and I think you go, I wish they wouldn't have died, because you're like, those are interesting characters. Because the thing is, and I stand by it, we've said it on the show, and I say it again, this show should have been, get rid of the twins, Saul, Jackie, murder mystery, what's happening? You can still keep Venestra kind of holding this Padawan secret and all of that happening, Plagueis in the background, the infiltration, all of that, and and Jackie could still eat it at the very end, because she discovers what's happening with Plagueis and whatever, and then you have the idea, it doesn't ever come out, and right as it's about to make that phone call to tell you, hey, guess what's lurking, it never sees the light of day, and we know it doesn't see the light of day because of the Sith have been gone for a millennium. They didn't pay attention to that type of stuff. And they wanted to come up with their own thing to throw into the lore. And the missing Star Wars music absolutely is and I'm going to say it in every series. And I hope Skeleton Crew finally brings it back. Well, I shouldn't say that. Ahsoka, Kevin kind of brought it back. There are a few of the themes. But they need the music back also. Music was fine in this, but it was missing it. But a lot to go through still, more in this show. Before we do, I wanted to tell you guys each and every week when I tell you about our sponsors, it helps us tremendously, and I always try to find sponsors that you guys are going to like, and I think that I really have some good ones here today. And I want to tell you guys both about Cremo Body Wash and, of course, our friends over at Built. Here it is. All right, you know what stinks? When you're stuck in a loop of rent payments, you're just watching your money vanish into thin air. It's the worst. It's time to turn the rent game around and start earning some serious rewards. How do you do that? That is where Built Rewards comes in. Built is breaking ground as the first rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Doesn't matter, even if you're rocking the old school rent check vibes, Built Rewards, it's got your back. They're going to mail the check for you. It's like basically having a personal rent paying assistant. It's the best. Every month, you pay your rent and you watch the points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points towards a flight or a hotel stay with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and properties. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/bigthing. That is joinbilt.com/bigthing. So use our URL so they know that we sent you. That's joinbuilt.com/bigthing. Start earning points with your rent payments today. I got to tell you about Cremo. That's right, man. So, and I think you guys also have, last week when I was telling you guys about them, I got so many people, I can't even tell you how many people I said, yeah, I use Cremo. I use it so many times. I've been using Cremo, and before you even told me about it, Harloff, I knew it. Because for me, after working in the studio all day, I want to go home and I smell like an alley cat. I want to go home and take a shower and relax. So I love going out on the weekends, but sometimes my friends, they want to visit some really nice places. It means I want to smell nice. My wife and I would go out. I was like, you don't want to, like I said, she want to go with like a mountain lion who's been sleeping in garbage. She wants to go with someone smelling nice. That's where Cremo comes in. So you want to elevate and you want to enhance your hygiene routine with Cremo Body Wash. It combines a rich lathering and hydrating formula with meticulously balanced, multi-layered fragrances for a superior shower experience. So I used it, even we were working in the studio here really late. And so I was like, okay, I used it, felt great right away. So Cremo works with master perfumers to make sure that every body wash scent is blended and refined, and their hard work definitely shows. Every wash that I've tried smells like it's like really high-end cologne. So I really dig it. I like the new bourbon vanilla men's body wash, which I've been using. It's really good. Yeah, it's really, really good. So, it gets me clean and it relaxes me after a long day. So check it out. All right. Thank you to both Cremo and Built. As I say each and every show, that when you help us out and you get those sponsors, you're getting yourself something wonderful. You're going to dig it. I always get people telling me how much they love it. Afterwards, please do the same. If you dig it, tell me. I want to hear about it. And I always send it to the sponsor so they know also. All right. Let's keep going on. Here we go. All right. So the ship crashes, and then we bounce back to the accountant in the Jedi robe with the hairdo, and he let the senator in the room. Vanestra goes, oh, and you let him in there. And then there's that scene that Mike's talking about where is this actor from, Mike? What show?
I saw him in Supergirl. That's how I.
Oh, okay.
I don't know his name. I was going to look it up, but he was from Supergirl or the CW like DC shows. He was Martian Manhunter.
He was great. He was absolutely great. This was a good performance by him, and I thought that scene was the best part of dialogue that I actually wound up caring, and I was invested in it, going, oh, all right, let's see. And this is the scene where I'm not gonna lie, I got excited for a second here because these two are talking, and then he's basically we see the romance beginning between the two of them, and he's now telling her, he offers her the chance, she says no, playing hard to get, he likes that, and then she's like, no, let's get the hell out of here. And then there he is, he's peeking around the corner. We assume Plagueis. Now, for people asking, people are like, well, it's 100 years ago. Wouldn't he be super young in order to do it? This is the one thing that I've been saying forever. If his species is immune, if that's what it is, seems like it is. In canon, they haven't specifically said how long they could live. They could live 200 years. They could live 300 years. So he could be 100 years old at this point. Who the hell knows? So that point doesn't bother me at all. What bothers me is, let's see him once so everybody goes, whoa, yay, there he is finally. And then you never see him again. We'll see him in season 2.
Because I saw the tweets, and like they put that in there for the people that are like, they did it. My heart is happy. It's like stupid fan service that doesn't play out. Like it's
got to play out. I'm going to tell you right now. It could have been earned because I was there, and this was my face when I showed him. Finally. There he is. What's he going to be doing? And he does nothing. He does nothing except wait till season 2. And I'm like, wait till season 2. I'm like, come on, we've been waiting so long for that. You wait till season 2, and then him and Yoda and everybody will be in it. That's why now we set you up with all these nuggets. Please renew us for season 2. And it's like, no, you didn't deserve it. You don't deserve it. But so Plagueis is there, and he just doesn't come back. It was a cool thing. Like, okay, so clearly though, they're setting up that he's stealing the information, and that's why he's interested in the twins. So we get to Brendock, and now there's a greatest hits for Saul as he's walking through. He's getting sad about everything that he did, and we go through the same damn thing we've seen for 3 episodes now. We saw, that was hilarious, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed that because episode 7 was essentially episode 3. So I said to Steph at one point, I go, Steph, so what did you think about episode 3 again? And people like, this show's so bad, he doesn't even know what episode he's reviewing. I'm like, because it was the same episode. It was 3.
No, I'm confused because my timelines now are all over the place. So all the Jedi, Yord, Jeki, when they fought Chimere, was that on Brendock?
No. That was on that Wookiee, the other Wookiee planet or whatever. Not wherever the Wookiee was hanging out. Wherever the Wookiee was hanging out. Yeah, okay. Right. With the when they were killing all the birds.
Okay. That's that's not Brendock.
That's not Brendock. No. They now, I still don't really know Venestra's deal, and
I love how even the senator knows. Oh, you got the rumbly tummy in hyperspace.
That was again? Hilarious.
Like, why does he know?
It's like,
why would a senator?
But he said the same thing.
But know that you don't like hyperspace. The stupidest like.
But it's so funny. He's like,
what are they doing?
She quickly changed it because he's like, "How's your stomach? You got the shits?" And she's like, "No, I got my headache. It's a headache.
It's my headache. I don't feel it's my headache.
It's a headache."
Like, why is it? Like, what point? When you're a writer, do you go, we're gonna put this in there? This is gonna be good.
Well, no, that's from the books. It's from the books. It's from the book.
Wait, hold on a second. So now we're picking and choosing what books we can use.
Totally. I don't.
Book about the rumbly shits, but we can't use Plagueis' origin.
Well, no, because here's the difference, Mike. So when it comes to the books. Yeah. It's the High Republic stuff is canon. That Darth Plagueis book is not canon, right? So
who decided that?
That when they bought over the stuff in 2012, right? That's when they bought it. Yeah, 2012. When they bought it over, they decided that there was Legends, and then everything moving forward was going to be canon. They don't really pay attention to much stuff in the canon stuff, but this particularly they did. So if you read the High Republic novels, then you were rewarded that you knew that she got the poops when she goes into hyperspace or whatever it is, because she has visions or whatever it might be. But but you have to be told that by people who read it, because for us, if you didn't know, you're like, oh, she did. It's just this thing that they want to keep referencing to, that she gets the poops when she gets into the hyperspace. So Venestra has the poops. So as she's cleaning her bowels, she goes. We get back to this scene here where once again now Saul has now taken on the role of John Boyega and just starts screaming for the episode, and he just starts screaming May every 20 steps, where at one point he has a chance to catch her. He stops and screams into the cave, May. And he does that quite a few times to where it made no sense. And then she, for some reason, is hiding off of a balcony where she could have just been hiding somewhere else. But she's hiding close to her death. So we then get to the fact that she's walking around. She sees the thing. She remembers the bridge stuff. I still didn't really buy the emotion. But then this is where the episode kind of picked up. And as we all said before, this fight scene between Chimera and Saul was amazing. It was great. And they're battling. It had kind of shades of old school lightsaber fights that we had seen in the past. And they're battling through. And so Mike, you like this crouching tiger, hidden dragon thing that they were doing. It was the only part of the fight that I didn't like.
Well, I liked it because I'm trying to take it for what it is at the time, but in the grand scheme of things, like, well, we've never seen anyone do this before, and now they're suddenly doing this.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, you're in the middle of this intense, really good lightsaber fight that I was enjoying, and then it's like style. And like, don't do style. Just keep doing the fight. Show me the emotion.
I get it. Like, I liked it because it was what was on the plate. I wasn't talking about the restaurant that I was eating at. What I was served, and I'm like, this is a good meal.
That's fair.
I don't know if I like this restaurant,
But Steph,
But-
how did you feel about it, Steph? Did you like the overall?
I liked it.
Yeah, you didn't mind it?
I think that Saul has a different fighting style, so I appreciated it.
Okay, so I mean, this fight happens, and that was that I will completely cop to being a very nitpicky thing, and it didn't take away from how great the fight scene in general was, because these two were really battling it out, and I believed it. I believed they did, but we also didn't really get. I mean, I guess you kind of get it with the Venestra reveal, but remember when Saul was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you, kinda. I have an energy about you." But they don't really reveal how they knew each other. I assume it's because he knew he was Venestra's Padawan, but they don't really ever get into that. And I guess that's because they want to do that reveal at the end, which I guess.
How old are they? Because remember when he told May it was a really, really long time. Oh no, it was Osha at that point. It was a really, really long time ago. It made it seem like he had been living Yoda years.
I don't know. Again, this is the kind of information that just who knows. And this is the other thing. And is this nitpicky? Did it bother you? So when Venestra does get there at the end, and within seconds of getting off the ship, she goes, "You," and she knows, right? Yet when she's kneeling over Saul's body, and the guy's right there, staring, she doesn't pick it up for like 5 minutes.
The only thing I thought with that was because they did a nice job of it. He had his helmet off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he sensed it and went and put it back on. So
Okay.
I was
Okay.
that's
Like the
kinda cool.
Magneto type thing.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
That's kind of cool.
That's-
I think that's the only reason I thought that.
Okay. So there you go. Then I stand corrected on that. That makes sense because he did.
See, when things on screen are done
And
you don't have
explained.
to explain it and word it out.
Well, they did
but-
explain it. That's what I liked about it. That's
but-
when you
but-
say that. Wait, real quick. When you say that, he did say, "I'm not going to let you go in there and read my thoughts." So that
Right,
that makes sense.
But that was like last episode.
Right.
So what they're giving you makes sense. It's not out of left field of a poop weasel
Right.
getting rid of messing with the chip. It was just like, okay, yeah, that's you established that, and there we go.
Okay.
Great.
That made sense. So these two keep on fighting, and before she even gets there, obviously, and then we get to, like, this is what I was talking about before, and so we jump now to the room that here May and Osha are in. It's now they confront one another, and they're asking Osha to show that anger. I didn't buy the anger. And then this fight happens, and they do the slow motion thing again this time, to which now, Steph, you said it's because of Saul's fighting style. Explain this one.
I don't know with them too. I've never been able to. I just feel like as a twin, I do not understand not taking a second to listen to your twin.
Well, they're not twins. That's one thing.
Okay, whatever. Whatever. They've grown up thinking
Yes.
they have a very close bond.
Yes.
That twins would have because they were there from the beginning before anyone else was in their lives. So I think that May, to her own goodness, has stayed true to her point. She's always said, "I didn't do it. You're not listening."
Right.
And Osha's never listened at all, which I guess this is why I think they're like, we're going to have Osha and bad. And I think all of the bad characters have one thing in common, and it's that they are desire filled.
Yeah.
With Soul, he had a desire to have her as a Padawan. With May, she had a desire to be a Jedi. And I think like the desire led to the bad side, to the dark side. But it's like the twin just like not listening to May at all. To the last episode, the last moment felt like that was forced to me.
Yeah. I completely agree. Like that, when I was watching that scene between the two of them, I'm like, I'm invested in this Chimera and Saul fight. Get me back there.
Yeah.
I'm like, get me back there. I didn't believe that Amanda brought forward that kind of rage anger that they were trying to bring out. I think it also telegraphs that you're about to see, and that is the other thing. They had that whole scene with her and Chimera at one point where I had a vision and I saw May with a lightsaber near Saul. Did any one of you think that it was May and not a vision of herself doing it because they're one person? Did
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the second they said that, I'm like, okay, well, clearly she's seeing herself doing this.
Right. And then I feel like they really thought they were eating with the reveal that they are the same person. And
Right.
to me, that just like did absolutely, I
Nothing.
didn't even get a tickle from it. I
No.
was like, what's the difference?
Was that supposed
What's
to
the
be like some
difference?
big secret reveal?
Yeah, he kept saying, you're not sisters. You're
Right.
not twins.
There's a
And it's
virgins
like,
in the Force.
"Dot, dot, dot."
Right. There's a virgins in the Force. But that's that. You said it though, Steph. I think that was what I said in the beginning. They really banked on the fact that everyone was going to love this twin story. They were banking on it. Clearly, they were rolling with it. And it's like, it was the most least exciting thing of the whole show. Because it's not what the show was pitched. It's not what the
Back
show
when
was.
May was killing Jedi, you know, that was her thing. Killing Indara at the beginning. She locked the witches up and
Burnt them up.
She's responsible for them dying. Well, why is she killing everybody?
It's between that and
Why?
and also the idea of how are they that powerful without the training to kill all these masterful Jedi? How are they able to do it? They don't explain it. In the same way that you said before, there was other ways they explain stuff. They don't explain it. So we do, thank God, get away from this fight, and we go back to the fight of Chimere and Saul, and even Chimere knows it, where he puts him up against the wall at one point. He says, "Well, the Jedi, they're not here for me," and Saul quickly realizes it too. We jump back to the silly fight between the two almost sisters, but we are bouncing back and forth. Thank God, enough time to show like the power, and I love the rage and the energy between the both of Chimere and Saul. Really played. It really played. I was super invested to it. It was great, and the cross sword thing that they do quite often in these saber fights, but I think it worked. And then finally, Saul gets the upper hand. He's got Chimere dead to rights once again, and this is where somehow, now, if you watch that other fight scene, Osha just kind of disappears, or somebody just disappears. I don't know how they did it. Like through the shit rat opened up a tunnel, I guess, and then she crawled through it. That's what we'll say. But she's able to again, once again, dupe. This show should have been called May Dupe Saul, because she does it again, and she grabs his lightsaber this time, and for some reason, Chimere just stands there during this entire thing. He's been fighting and trying to kill Jedi, yet he's just standing there, and Saul turns his back on this guy who he's been trying to murder the last 5 minutes, just turns his back on him and just stands there and listens to both May and Osha when they come out, and doesn't do a damn thing and just waits for the reveal of all this stuff to go down. So we have our emotional moment here, and this is where the big reveal is. She starts choking him out and is able to do it. He doesn't fight it. She chokes him out. We're supposed to feel really bad about it. Saul, who was in the beginning, the first 2 episodes, this could be a Qui-Gon type character, and just turned into a sucker. I don't know. Steph, what do you say?
I like the idea of the timing of Osha walking in and finally hearing it. It just is a reminder that May was trying to tell her that the entire time. And that's crazy that you weren't listening. And I feel like even the apology was not enough. I just feel like May's gone through too much at this point. But it was fine. Like I thought the ending was.
Were you like, oh no, or were you like, okay?
That Osha turned.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it coming, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So
By the end of it, I was like, we built it up this hardcore, and I've always thought that she was selfish.
Right.
And selfish.
You never liked her.
Yeah, that's just like straight up dark side. Like she's been ready for the dark side for a long time. I just think that for some reason she had this connection with Saul and needed that to be broken for her to fully accept it.
Sure. And we'll get into more of it in a second, but real quick before we do, I want to tell you about AG1, which you need some energy, especially if you're not digging a show and you want to say, I need to stay awake. You have AG1. And then if you are turned on with certain shows and you say, hey, I need some joy mode. Well, that's going to work out for you, because I got some joy mode for you too. So check this out. And I got to tell you about AG1. You guys know AG1. I mean, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know that I love AG1. And people keep asking me. They notice. John even said when I started, new look.
Yeah.
20 pounds I lost. One of those reasons, AG1 became part of my routine. Because for a long time, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my body. It just wasn't. For me, I read labels, I verify that everything is up to the quality I need, and that is why I've stayed with AG1 for as long as I have. It is a research-backed foundational nutrition supplement, and it delivers daily nutrients, gut health support, and is backed by multiple research studies so you can trust what you're putting into your body. Because I like coffee. I used to drink so much coffee to keep up, but I don't need it anymore, not as much, because after drinking AG1, I have realized that I have all this energy and I need less coffee to power my day. It turns out I'm not alone, because in a research study, 91% of people noticed they needed less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. That's crazy. 91% of participants noticed that they need less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. That's me. Energy is a majorly important reason why it comes to I need so much energy for parenting. I can tell you that right now. AG1 contains ingredients to sustain energy so you can be the best version of yourself within each day. And it really has worked for me, and it's helped me on the plane, everything. It's easy, it's satisfying to start your journey with AG1. If you go to AG1 and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You got to go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. It's the one product I trust to support my whole body health. It's AG1. And I got to tell you about AG1. You guys know AG1. I mean, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know that I love AG1. And people keep asking me. They notice. John even said when I started, new look, 20 pounds I lost. One of those reasons, AG1 became part of my routine. Because for a long time, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my body. It just wasn't. For me, I read labels, I verify that everything is up to the quality I need, and that is why I've stayed with AG1 for as long as I have. It is a research-backed foundational nutrition supplement, and it delivers daily nutrients, gut health support, and is backed by multiple research studies so you can trust what you're putting into your body. Because I like coffee. I used to drink so much coffee to keep up, but I don't need it anymore, not as much, because after drinking AG1, I have realized that I have all this energy and I need less coffee to power my day. It turns out I'm not alone, because in a research study, 91% of people noticed they needed less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. That's crazy. 91% of participants noticed that they need less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. That's me. Energy is a majorly important reason why it comes to I need so much energy for parenting. I can tell you that right now. AG1 contains ingredients to sustain energy so you can be the best version of yourself within each day. And it really has worked for me, and it's helped me on the plane, everything. It's easy, it's satisfying to start your journey with AG1. If you go to AG1 and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You got to go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. It's the one product I trust to support my whole body health. It's AG1. Joy Mode. Now, I've been telling you about Joy Mode forever. And Joy Mode, and people, when they hear about Joy Mode right away, you go, well, I don't need that kind of stuff. I'm in the prime of my youth. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the primary youth. You want to tell Roku, say, I don't need that just yet. I'm like, we ain't talking about you can't make it work. It's about when you go to the gym, what do? You take a supplement, you go, whoa, that helped me out. It's like energy. Well, you're feeling good, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to go on the freaking, a lot of people go to those gas station lines and they look over those cheap pills and they think that's going to work. Yeah, they don't. And they hurt you. You wake up, you feel like crap. I've taken one of these things before and you're like, oh, not particularly those, but other ones where you feel like a hangover. And you don't want that. This is like a booster. It is an absolute booster, and it's the shit. Right now, it's really good. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let me tell you, it's really good. And people were saying, do you like this stuff? How do you feel? I feel like, as Jesse Ventura said, goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. I'll tell you that. It is no joke. I love Joy Mode. And people have been excited about Joy Mode and keep using it. And all you got to do, you want to get 20% off, you go to usejoymode.com, you get 20% off. You got to use that code Big Thing. I mean, how appropriate is that? You go to usejoymode.com, 20% off. Use your Big Thing, or use Big Thing code, even better. So there you go. That's all I got to say about that. All right. Thank you to AG1. Thank you to Joy Mode. Really appreciate it. And they're both phenomenal. Fantastic. Come on. I tell you what, Whiskey and Lulu, one time Whiskey got into the Joy Mode. It was not fantastic. I had to do jump ropes over the ding dong. It's okay though. All right, moving on. All right, so we got some stuff to keep going on with as we see. Now, Chimera here is like he sees, all right, listen, you killed this dude, choked him out, take my hand. She goes, no, but I'm going to bleed a crystal. I don't know how I'm able to do that already, but I can bleed a crystal. And for some people who are going, and this is probably Mike, how the hell did this thing turn red, right? Is that what you were thinking?
No, when, like I'd said, usually when I get home from work, I come home and take a nap. And by the time I'm up, most people have seen the episode already. So I kind of go on Twitter a little bit just to kind of see what people are saying. And people would pointed that out. So I'm assuming something in the Star Wars deep lore, canon, legends, books.
Yeah.
It's that this happens.
Yeah, there was something that they introduced a few years back that.
But to then on the other side, the other side, I see the people that, again, Star Wars has to be for everybody. You've got to get everyone involved. Some people are like, what, lightsabers are mood rings now?
Right.
Like,
it's not exactly.
It didn't bother me. I'm sure there was some kind of explanation.
That didn't bother me either.
I was like, okay,
no.
That's what. But in my head, for Star Wars now, so did Vader not his kyber crystal? Was it not red? Did he bleed it? Like, is it like? I thought the kyber crystals you can find are red.
Yeah, I would have preferred that. I didn't like, but to be fair to this show, they're not the one that introduced this notion. So it's not like when there's other things to say. There's other things to say. Wait a minute, what are you doing here? This is something they got from the books. I didn't like it when they did it in the books. I like the idea that it's not stable for certain sabers to do it, and only certain people can make those unstable crystals work, like a Vader and the Sith, and because you have to emotion wise, I think that makes more sense. But that's not the Acolyte's fault on this one.
But to do what you're saying, like if it was done in a book, and that's what it's like, if it was done once, that shows like, oh, this person is different. But if other people are going to keep doing it, like I'm like, whatever, all right, here we go.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case, but it didn't bother me too much. But nonetheless, it looks like, okay, look, now I'm all pissed off. I no longer have now. His saber is now my saber, and I have a red saber now. So what do you say about that? And then Vanestra steps off the ship. This is what we're talking about. She realizes she's got her gang of nobodies. We don't know who any of these people are, minus the accountant. And then you got the little shit rat in the background, right? So then May and Osha, who were just fighting not too long ago, have decided to not fight anymore because they both realize they're horrible murderers and they can be friends again. So that's what they do. And then I guess all the Jedi come out in the middle and they stand around, and I thought it was going to be a flash mob, but it's not. It's just them standing there for some odd reason staring at the grass. Vanestra is able to do her investigation to see what happened. And then, as Mike pointed out, Chimera now has the helmet back on. She can't read him right away, and then realizes Saul is toast and comes up with her filthy lies. All right, so speaking of filthy, the shit rat now has taken some of the Jedi into the forest. He smells something, whether it's a ham sandwich or whatever it is, but he goes and he takes it. Now the twins are back to the tree, and then this is where they decided, okay, you know what we're going to do? Somehow, Chimera has this ability to wipe memories completely. Why he didn't do that to everybody in the first place, who knows? But it worked for this particular scene. So he's like, I can wipe her memory, Peter Parker style, Doctor Strange, here we go. And that's what he puts his little helmet on. They touch hands. Oh, they're getting filthy later on, fine. And then they give hugs, lots of hugs. And then she forgets her speech that we all wish that we forgot, but she didn't. And then, okay, I forgot. And then the accountant, this is my favorite part. The accountant comes in and finds her. And he goes, whatever he says to her, he says, you drop your weapon, do this. And she's like, and she's lost her memory. And they pan to him like he knows she lost her memory. How does he know that? How does he know that?
I don't know.
How does he know she's not lying? It's like things like that. I'm like, this is just a silly show. But all those moments there, Steph, anything that stands out about anything that maybe you thought, oh, actually, they thought they did that well? Did you care about that moment where the memory was wiped?
Yeah, I did feel some emotional pull, and I also was just like frustrated that the twins couldn't. Like, why is May getting screwed over again?
Right.
But now she just has to live like 51st dates for the rest of her life. Like, that's just such a bummer. And they finally reconciled, and now May feels like she gets the better half of the stick. She gets like this bae she's going home with that's gonna teach her how to be the sickest Sith ever, and they're gonna like have this romance. And I feel like then May is just like gonna be 5150'd. I don't. Yeah, so I felt bad about that. So that made me feel something. I also was curious. So did Vanestra know about Soul this whole time, or because she has this
seems
ability?
like. Well, no,
Yeah.
I know. I don't think so because she's like, because she said something along the lines of like, "Oh, it's you, how you're still alive," or something like that. I thought she said something along those lines when she first.
Yeah, about Chimere, but it just she feels like she has this ability to replay.
Yes, the moments, right.
But then she didn't feel like anything of Soul's story was a lie.
Right. I don't know. It doesn't.
So that was confusing. But I mean, like I said from the beginning, I thought it was a good ending for what we were given.
Yeah.
And that it's not like I'm like pissed about it.
Yeah.
But I understand. May's like, yeah, I'll do this. I'll wipe my memory to let you do what you wanted to do. She wanted to be a Sith her whole life. Like, what? That May wanted to be good.
Right.
Like, or Osha wanted to be good. Like, why does she want to be bad now?
Yeah, it's
like, what's the why?
A lot of it doesn't make sense. But what you do then?
Why didn't the two of them just go, Chimere?
But this is what I want you guys to explain to me though too, because now we get back to.
I can't explain anything.
That's fair. Vanestra goes in. She has this conversation. She realizes that the memory's been wiped, whatever it may be. She talks to May. They have the same conversation. This is the one I'm like, it's like they keep repeating the same bits. May literally, or Vanestra tells her the same story that we've heard 87 times about how Saul killed her mother and this and her sister. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
But I'm confused because he wiped her mind, but she's like, I remember
a man,
a fire, a man. Wipe her, make her a vegetable, and so she got to start over. Like, what are you doing with the seeds of it? Whoa, so second season she can go back and hunt him down? Is that where we're going to go with her?
I don't know. But so she now I need to be explained the Vanestra side of it because so Vanestra now decides that she's going to lie to all these people and trying to protect the Jedi Order, I guess, or what is she trying to do? She completely lies about Saul and says that Saul was rogue, and is that to protect the Jedi Order? What did you read out of this? Is she bad? Like what did you read out of this stuff?
Yeah, I think it was to protect what she thought would be protecting the Jedi Order, because if they had known that they okayed Saul doing this, then their whole thing would have been, their whole cover would have been blown, and the Senate's clearly already on to them that they think this is a little messed up, like what they're doing is a little extreme.
Steph, to what you said earlier, and how you saw people saying that people don't understand if they have questions about it. That's the problem with this show. If from the beginning, in the first episode, we got the Jedi was under fire from the Senate for you guys are overstepping, we don't like this, and throughout it, we got that senator coming in going, you're just sending people on a mission. Those people you just sent, the 20 people, where are they?
Right.
They didn't make it back. Instead of at the 8th hour, you drop a guy in there going, the Senate doesn't like what you're doing. You're under fire. What's going on? And then they get make it the whole episode, the whole season of the Jedi are coming at it from both sides of so every decision that she makes, you could see them going, what are you doing?
But Mike, that's my point. My point is they spent too much time on this damn story with the twins that they weren't able to do that.
We don't understand the nuance of the Jedi.
Right.
No, it's just shitty writing.
It's terrible. It's terrible, terrible writing. Terrible writing. And with this tidbits of stuff that could have worked, because then you have the senator who was like, okay, I don't know if I necessarily believe you, but you're telling us this. It is a rogue. Okay, fine. And then you have the hairy mole, whatever that thing is, just kind of looking out and saying, all right. And then you see that she burnt up Saul, give him some respect, but said, you're basically going to be the Lee Harvey Oswald here, pal. Sorry. So we jump then to, it says you're basically going to be the big scapegoat here. So so there she goes. She looks at him and burnt him on fire. And then we jump to now May, who is, again, just from this shot alone, not May, sorry, Osha, what they're trying to give, like, us, Mike, you said it before. They tried to shoot this show, by the time after she kills Saul, like we're supposed to care about these twins. I wanted them both to be arrested. I wanted them to be thrown away without the key. I don't like them. I didn't like them beforehand. I like them even less now.
People.
Horrible.
They are horrible
people. I don't care if they bonded. I don't care about them at all. They just brutally murdered this guy who was trying to protect him. Yeah, he made a bad decision. He shouldn't have done what he did. He felt miserable about it. He was trying to make up for it, and she just choked him out, murdered him. And it's like, okay, if you go, oh, don't you like shows like Breaking Bad and other? I was always like, look, when you're watching Walter White, you're like, eventually this guy's gonna get it, and there's certain things that he's doing, and you're like, but I didn't like this person. I didn't like May. I didn't like Ocean,
especially because the way the show, whether he was right or wrong, at least we cared for Saul.
Yes,
we saw he was conflicted. We saw the weight on him. But no, Ocean May, I don't care about. I don't want to see you again. You're bad people.
No, and then Chimera and her are clearly going to have some kind of thing, and then obviously
a little Twilight thing going on,
something like that. And then Plagueis is apparently probably looking more to kill off Chimera and then recruit her, and then eventually, he's.
But why? Chimera's great.
Because he's a
badass and he's good.
He's not a virgin in the Force. He doesn't have. He can find now Plagueis can find the way to create life, and he'll find out through her, which I think is just so silly. So they end. You think they're going to end here, and it didn't. But instead they end here, which is like, here's Vanessa. She walks in. She goes, "Master, we have a problem." This goes, and then you see the back of Yoda's head, and it's like this cheap pop thing that they were looking to try to get, and it. To me, I'm like, it's the same thing Mike just said about the senator. Why in the world is Yoda not your first phone call if it's like, hey, the Senate is breathing down our necks here, Master. We have something going on. Let me bring this to you. There might be a divergence in the Force. This is you call him after the meeting? He should have been the one giving the presentation.
Or you don't show him at all because now he's complicit, depending on what you told him.
Right.
And for 100 years, he's kept it quiet. Yoda, the one guy throughout the entire Star Wars saga that we're like, he's a good dude. He's always had the best interests at heart of everybody. Like, oh, he's now complicit. He's going to lie to everybody. Don't put him in there. Just like you don't put Ki-Adi-Mundi in there for a cameo because it made no sense.
No, Yoda shouldn't have been in this show. And Plagueis shouldn't have been in the show. And it's like, so this is the question that I asked on both my my immediate reaction and my reaction. And I'll start with Steph. Not should there be, will there be a second season of The Acolyte?
No.
Why?
Because it got so much criticism in a way that wasn't just Star Wars super fans. If you look at Screen Rant, IGN, Variety, I look at all of their reviews and they all are like, there's huge cracks in this show and no one seems to be yearning. I mean, there's a small group, I'm sure, who really likes it, or a group that likes it, but I don't think that it got enough popularity for it to get a second season with the money spent.
Well, yeah, with the amount, there's no world where they do a second season for 170. That's a guarantee. Mike,
yeah.
I know your answer of should there be, but will there be a season 2?
No.
Why?
Look at what's gotten extra seasons so far. Mando took off, and everyone loved Mando. That thing, and like Book of Boba Fett, there was no talk of a season 2. Obi-Wan, which is Ewan McGregor back in the role with Hayden Christensen. No talk of that. They're like, we don't.
And Obi-Wan was a lot cheaper than this show.
Yeah, and it had the name of Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan. That didn't get a second season. Ahsoka, they're talking about it, but it's probably going to be into the movie.
They already said Ahsoka season 2 is happening. That's happening.
Going.
Yeah.
There's no way season 2 happens. It just, I think because the shakeup with Disney realizing, or with Marvel and their Star Wars properties, like, oh, we went too far. We got to scale back. This was already going.
Yeah.
Like in
It's
production. So I don't think.
greenlit. Yeah.
What's up?
Well, I thought, no, maybe, I think Iger originally greenlit it and then Chapek shepherded it or whatever.
I don't see this getting a second season at all.
Now I'm going to start with what I told you guys not to say first. I don't think it should have a second season because of everything you guys just said, and I don't know what the ratings have been. I know it hasn't crossed over to mainstream for sure. There's people like the mainstream audience in the way that the mainstream audience picked up season 1 and season 2 of Mandalorian. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you have to look at the taking if we like it out of the equation, if we think it's bad written, did it move the needle in their streaming numbers
for $170 million
to bring in new people?
Right.
If not, then what are you doing?
Well, and that's where I can say that what I'm nervous about, though, is the idea of, because I do think Lucasfilm does this more so, and I think that there are, as we know, there's also groups that are just going to hate everything. It doesn't matter if they make the best thing ever. There are going to be groups that just hate no matter what. And so Lucasfilm and Disney can say, well, yeah, they're just hating it and they're just going to hate it no matter what. They have this thing, so you really can't take it seriously. But if they group in everybody, even people who are legit, like we're not, people will say the difference. People will not agree with me on this one and say that we are haters of this show. We just didn't like this show. We want Star Wars to be good. We want Skeleton Crew to be good. And if it is, we'll say as much.
I'm not proud of this, but this is the first show, and I've said this before, where I've seen the group of Star Wars fans who are like, Disney's ruining Star Wars. Like I saw, like I had no problem with Sabine and being a powerful Jedi and the choices they made in that show. But this was the first one I'm kind of like the decisions that were made behind the scenes and that were allowed to be made by the creatives on this show by Disney. I'm just like, didn't make any sense. There was just no
there needs to be
pushing the whole May storyline was like, what are you doing? Like
I don't know. I'd like to find out the real story because you hear conflicting things because when this show was announced of what it was ultimately supposed to be about, like the idea of the first infiltration of the rule of two and the Sith and building up to that and the ideals of Revan and Bane and all, like that's the thing. Remember, Steph, you and I were like, oh, if they do that show, sign me up. And that's
is Revan and Bane canon?
Bane is canon. He was mentioned in one of the Clone Wars episodes. Mark Hamill actually voiced like a hologram. Yoda had a scene with him. I believe Revan was made canon in a book, like as far as a mention. People can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. It was after my time of reading the books, but I think, but enough so that they could have made him canon. They could have made the lore canon, and the idea of the infiltration leading into the Plagueis thing. I will say it until I'm blue in the face, and I'll say it one more time. For anybody, there's no world where Lucasfilm has ever been paying attention to this show, but if they were, you literally can turn around and there's someone in the office that has these books by these great writers, whether it's Claudia Gray, whether it's James Lucerno, whether it's there's Alexander Freed. There's all these different authors who have done so much great novels. You have these novels. Turn them into miniseries. Turn them into movies. Get great screenwriters to adapt these books. You have it. You have the great writing. Use it. Why aren't you using it? I don't understand. I don't understand. They'll never use it. Yeah. Anyway. All right, Mike. Tell them where to find you.
At Mike Kalinowski.
Steph, what you got going on?
At Sabra in the World, girls.
For me, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. As I mentioned, we have a great interview with Robert Eiler from The Sopranos. I'd love for you to come check it out. Drop a comment over there. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. A lot of great things going on over here. Thank you for joining us here as always. Appreciate you. For Steph Sabra and Mike Kalinowski, we'll see you later.